This is ANCAP-SU. Let's talk about CELSO Amorim, who participated in RODA VIVA, a program on TV Cultura in Sao Paulo. And he spoke a lot of nonsense, right? This was one of the things he said. Brazil is prepared for new sanctions from the United States. But that wasn't the worst thing he said. It's not surprising that Haddad is desperate to talk to Besant, can't manage to, and blames Eduardo Bolsonaro. Influence of the far right, that is. The incompetence of this government is complete when it comes to resolving anything. But that's not all. In the end, he said that the United States is declaring war on Brazil. Look, this is a serious matter. I've already said that this is the path Lula wants to follow. He wants to understand that this is a war against the United States. And if you criticize Lula's government now, you're being unpatriotic, a traitor to the country. You can't criticize Lula. That's the path they're heading down. Just look at this absurdity. This news was suggested by Gato Pelado do Mato, Lula Potter, and Kale Serpinga 51, among others. Thanks to everyone who suggested news on our website, Visa Libertarian.com, and thanks to you for watching our video. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe to our channel. CELSO Amorim appeared on RODA VIVA. The program is completely irrelevant. It's just for show and has no real value. But some of CELSO Amorim's statements could worsen the situation. Look what's happening. The sanctions against Brazil are terrible. Many of Brazil's exports are already subject to a 50% sanction. It's true that 700 products were removed from the sanctions list. Out of the millions of products Brazil exports to the United States, only 700 were removed. That's practically nothing. So in the end, the sanctions are severe and are causing harm. We know that businessmen are putting a lot of pressure on the Lula government, and it can't do anything. It can't get off the ground. Why? Because the central issue here is Alexandre de Moraes. As long as the Alexandre de Moraes issue isn't resolved, nothing will move forward here. And this is the problem for all these businessmen. We know Brazil is concerned. But that's not all. There's also the threat of more sanctions against Brazil. The Trump administration has been studying more sanctions against Brazil. Celso Moritz is calm. Everything is fine in his mind. He thinks we're heading towards Venezuela. In his view, we're not going to end up like Venezuela with a broken economy, everyone's starving, people killing dogs and cats to eat. But Maduro isn't starving. Maduro's fine there in Venezuela, right? The country's economic elite continues to thrive while the people suffer, right? And one of the things he said was precisely that Brazil will sell to China. It's right here. Trump causes Lula to ask Xi Jinping for help, so Lula called Xi Jinping, asking Xi Jinping to increase food imports from Brazil to help balance things out. And I've already told you that this could be a solution. It could be a solution, but I don't believe it will work, okay? I don't believe China will do that. Why? Because China knows it needs to make a deal with the United States, right? Lula and Xi Jinping spoke for an hour discussing various issues, the issue of multinational efforts and other matters. Look, Xi Jinping told Lula that China and Brazil can set an example of self-sufficiency in the global south, you see. We sell Chinese goods to Brazil, Brazil sells its goods to China, and that's it, we're self-sufficient. And people ignore the fact that the more business you do with different people, the richer you become. Remember, trade generates wealth. The more people you trade with, the more wealth you generate. If you limit trade with China or the global south, you're limiting your own potential to get richer, to bring in money, and to create value. It's going to get more complicated. Moreover, China knows that Brazil can't absorb all Chinese products. So China needs trade with the United States, and then look at what happened in this whole situation. So Lula is talking to Xi Jinping, all friendly and diplomatic, using beautiful words, saying they're going to unite against the United States, among other things. Then Trump said that China should quadruple its soybean purchases from the United States. In other words, Trump knows that China and the United States need each other, China needs the United States, and vice versa. And again, as I always say, if China stops selling to the United States, it's bad for Americans. It's bad for Americans, don't doubt it, but it's much worse for the Chinese. The same applies to Brazil. Brazil can survive without the United States, it's true, but the United States will still be affected. Will there be a shortage of orange juice? Will there be a shortage of something else? Yes, there will, but believe me, what they'll suffer there is much less than what we will suffer here. We're going to be hit much harder by this. China is aware of this, and now Trump is saying that China should quadruple its purchases of soybeans from the United States, and of course not buy from Brazil. What he's saying here is that it's so that Brazil doesn't lose this opportunity, right? So Xi Jinping's conversation with Lula is very friendly, with very nice words of unity in the global south, and so on. But when it comes down to it, my friend, it's every man for himself, save yourself if you can. Here, it's practically certain that China will make this deal with the United States and buy soybeans from the United States. Almir also responded in that RODA VIVA meeting that Trump's request to China about soybeans is almost a declaration of war on Brazil because it will destroy the Brazilian economy and so on. Because you see, what Trump is proposing to China goes beyond simply stopping purchases from Brazil. It means buying even less than before. And Trump can do this. That's the truth. As I told you, the American market is very important to China. Xi Jinping will say many nice words to Lula, but when it comes to making a decision, in the end, he knows he has no alternative. He will have to make a deal with Trump, and he is capable of doing so. Lula's problem is that while people here in Brazil continue to pretend that nothing is happening, we can't do anything because it's a matter of justice, while they pretend that because everyone knows it's a political issue, that Alexandre de Moraes is doing this out of political persecution. Everyone knows that. There's no other way to interpret it, while they keep insisting on this. Anything we can do, we have no way to resolve what Trump asked us to end the process, so to speak. The coup by Alexandre de Moraes, so we can't do anything about it, because it's a matter of justice, we can't interfere, and so on. Of course we can. Everyone knows it's not a matter of justice at all, it's political persecution. It's evident that this is a completely fabricated inquiry, a report with no evidence whatsoever, and a judge who wants to convict at all costs. So Brazil is stuck on this while other countries, including China, are making deals with the United States. It's going to be every man for himself, and we're going to be in big trouble. Look, Zeca Dirsu is complaining here. The son of Zé Dirsu is asking for intervention regarding chicken exports. You know why? Because China and the European Union have stopped buying Brazilian chicken, and now that they can't sell to the United States, Brazilian meat packers are having problems, right? They're mistakenly thinking that China will help Brazil, that Europe will help Brazil. They won't. They want to resolve their own problems with the United States first. Brazil will be left behind. It's just a matter of time. The longer it takes for people to realize that the only way out is the peace package, which includes the impeachment of Alexandre de Moraes and amnesty, broad and complete amnesty in Congress, and that's it. The longer it takes for them to realize this inevitable truth, the more Brazil will suffer. Here it is. China and the European Union have suspended chicken purchases from Brazil, and it's devastating now that it can't sell to the United States. It can't sell to anyone else anymore. The fight continues. CELSO AMORIM also said that a meeting between Lula and Trump is not on the agenda. That there won't be a meeting between Lula and Trump. We don't want a meeting between Lula. That's what I'm telling you. Lula is really betting on the Venezuela solution. He wants to fight to create a war. To declare war on the United States because of this. It's a war that Brazil can't win. The only thing it will do is worsen the situation of the Brazilian people enormously. It will completely destroy the economy here in Brazil. And Lula continues with this plead with Russia, China, and other struggling countries that are trying to save their own skin. They won't help Brazil. They won't help Brazil. Yeah, we're in trouble. Those who voted for L in 2022, see? They put us on the wrong side of this whole story. Thank you for watching the video until the end. Besides liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel, consider becoming a supporter with amounts starting from $0, 40 cents. Click the join button below to learn about the conditions and benefits of supporting the channel. For more information about our project, visit our websites displayed on the screen.